You're welcome back to the channel once again. So, lawyers in Rivers State staged a protest, reject Tinubu's emergency rule and demand for return to democratic governance. Well, this is what the whole judicial system in the country should be doing right now. The Nigerian Bar Association should by now demanding for the executive arm of government to leave the judiciary alone and allow them to be fully independent. Let's forget the corrupt judges that allow themselves to be in the pocket of the executive and the legislature. But NBA as a body should rise up to the occasion and start demanding for this. And you know what? Definitely the whole Nigerians will join them. Because Nigeria under this present administration has become completely lawless. Illegitimacy has become the order of the day, where a supposed democratic process could impose a military rule on a state and nothing happened. Everyone seems to have moved on and counting down to 6 months. Now, who told us that the person that imposed military rule for 6 months on a state cannot extend it to 2 years and even beyond? We honestly allow too much in this country, and that's why these so-called leaders take us for a ride. One thing Rivers people didn't know is that this group by group protest should have happened simultaneously. Everyone should have come out at once, be it group of lawyers, women, touts, doctors, and whatever group it may be, to demand for the return to democracy in the same pace and time. That's how it should have been. But then, we really commend these brave lawyers in Rivers State that are standing up for democracy, while some leaders are flirting with dictatorship. Emergency rule is not the answer to any democratic problem. Justice, accountability, and the will of the people are. Meanwhile, let's watch the video of the demands of the lawyers on the emergency rule in Rivers State. But before that, please kindly give this video a thumb up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share and put on your notification bell to always be among the first to get notified the moment we drop new updates on the state of the nation and beyond. Also drop your own opinion in the comment section below so that we can have a conversation there.
Okay. We are League of Lawyers. We are here to make a speech in regards to the ongoing crisis in Rivers State between Wike and the governor, the elected governor, Fubara. Gentlemen of the press, a little over a month ago, precisely March 8, 2025, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declares a state of emergency in Rivers State. As you all know, the declaration generates mixed reactions from stakeholders and Nigeria generally. Since the declaration was made, our organization, League of Lawyers in Defense of Democracy, has watched with new interests happening in the oil-rich state and activities of the sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ikwe Ibas, retired, appointed by the president. We make bold to say that he is illegal occupying that office. Over a month after the imposition of the state of emergency in Rivers State by the President Bola Tinubu, with suspension of the state governor, Fubara, his deputy, and the Rivers State House of Assembly for 6 months, public outrage is yet to abate. Sadly, both chambers of the National Assembly have ratified this assault on democracy. While it is reassuring that most of the reactions from Nigerians to this worrisome development have mostly been condemnation, we have noticed how the public consensus has drafted always away from the issues that participated the political immense in River State, which President Bola Tinubu exploit to launch this dictatorial career. We further note that the friends of recriminations, there is a scant effort that's proving workable solution that will return the state to democratic rule within states, since going without an elected government for 6 months is an injustice that people of River State must not allow to suffer. As at the time the president took the action in River, there is no clear present danger that warranted the action taken. We of the view that the president should have waited to clear and present danger before taking such an action. Also, due process of law was not followed before making declaration, thereby making the pronouncement illegal. The president has to wait for clear and present danger. That is what the law says. That is, if we have to debate his action. When the president made the pronouncement, Nigeria came up with divergent views, some with reversation and some with sufficient ignorance. But we are bold to say that the action of the president and the endorsement by the nation. National Assembly is unfortunate. The president also, the most unprecedented and unlawful step in declaring a state of emergency in River State. In the era where democracy is supposed to align supreme, giving democracy dividends to the masses, we have found ourselves at crossroads, a sober moment of reckoning, where constitutional order is being tested in the most brazen manner. The president, who sought to uphold the constitution, has taken a most persistent and unlawful step with the suspension of the democratically elected governor, deputy governor, and an entire House of Assembly under the guise of emergency rule. What is emergency? Nigeria and Rivers people did not see or feel and any such emergency. In our law book, we stand by this. No constitutional provision, statute, or any known convention gives to the president the power to single-handedly dissolve the structure of an elected state government. This could only have happened during the days of military Judas. But we are not under the firm of drip of a military dictatorship. At the moment, the country is being governed under the constitutional democracy that operates presidential system of government. We, the look of lawyers in defense of democracy, totally condemn the action of the president, and we describe it also as totally unwarranted. President Bola Tinubu should not have taken the decision, because democracy is a learning process. The judiciary has demonstrated a capability to resolve issues. The president should have allowed the various state organs to resolve the issues. It is not worthy that until recently there was a crisis of local government administration in Osun State, which has not led to declaration of the state of emergency. The same thing can be said in Benue State, where there is a problem between the executive and the judiciary and even insecurity, yet no state of emergency was declared. Even recently in Lagos State, there was emergency of 2 speakers in the state House of Assembly, yet no state of emergency was declared. There is no basis of such a declaration in democratic state, and we call on the president to have a second look and end emergency rule in River State. The president should rescind his decision and allow institutions of state to take care of disputes that may emerge in the course of democracy. State of emergency is justified in exceptional cases to preserve or establish peace and order, especially when the rule of law and national security are threatened by grave and imminent institutional instability. But in the case of Rivers State, there was nothing of such. The ground known as we know that today in Nigeria is the 1999 Constitution. Any other constitution is known to us and is null and void. It is what a guiding the National Assembly, the judiciary and the executive. What does the 1999 Constitution says? If you look at section 305 of the 1999 Constitution about state of emergency, it says you must get the approval from the National Assembly, which the president eventually did after making pronouncement, and that is even when the problem of threatening the peace of the country. The question to ask here now is the political crisis in Rivers State threatening the peace of the country? The answer is no. We believe that constitutional power vested in the president to declare a state of emergency does not extend a removal or suspension an elected governor from the office. We can best describe the action of the president as a coup against democracy, and we insist that the president did not act in good faith. Emergency rule in the state undermines the authority of the elected governor and the violent constitutional practice. Peace and order in Rivers State could only be restored when Governor Fubara, elected by the people, is allowed to govern without interference from the predecessors and Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesin Wike. We would have expected the president to call Wike to order, and rather than doing that, he imposed a state of emergency in the state. On a final note, after studying the situation, we are able to agree that a state of emergency was necessarily in Rivers State and does not also have any suitable legal ground to have been imposed. We therefore call on President Bola Tinubu to reconsider his stand and end the state of emergency rule in Rivers and allow Governor Fubara, who was elected by the good people of the state, continue his work as democratically elected governor of the state. Not only that, the president should call his minister, Barrister Nyesin Wike, to order, who is said to be distracting the governor from delivering dividend of democracy to the people of the state. Thank you all for your attention. God bless. Through our fathers, the US, so that he will go through it and have this case of Rivers crisis resolved. Once again, thank you and God bless.